Ooh, child, things are gonna get easier. Ooh, child, things will get brighter. All right, all right. I am finally back. I've been waiting and contemplating something to give y'all here on Model 6 Plus. I don't want to be one of these channels that just put out videos just because it's time to put out another video. I got to make sure every time y'all come over here, y'all leave with something that you can live from and know. So I got to share with y'all what the Most High has given me. All right, and today what we're going to talk about, we got to talk about this. This is in my community. It bugs me so much when I hear it. What's a boss? I'm a boss, son of a gun. We hear this so much, and if no one's employed you, first of all, you surely aren't a boss. But even if somebody is employed you, we're going to take a real deep dive in what a boss truly is. Now, I'm always on YouTube checking out other content, making sure I do as much research as I can to give you guys as much as I can give you. And I was watching Jordan Peterson, who I consider to be one of the most intellectual people on the planet. He's one of them. And he was talking to an African woman by the name of Magat Wade. And they got real deep into this conversation. And she ended up touching base on something that's been in my heart for a long time. And I'm going to hit y'all with I think is one of the deepest rap lines in the history of rap by my man Rick Ross. I'm going to show that to you later. But I'm going to wait until we get to that point. Let me set this up for you real quick. So she's from Africa, Senegal, and has come to America. She's been very successful, but she gets to a point in her life where she realized there's more than just her happiness. So we ain't going to delay any further. Here we go.
Yeah, so I encountered with Silicon Valley, but just before you go, when you were talking about the early investment in your family and your friends, we like to talk about the three Fs: family, friends, and fools. So the fools are very useful there. So in any case, so here I am in Silicon Valley, and and I was doing extremely well for myself. At age 25, I was making six figures, bought my home with a pool in one of the most expensive zip codes in America, and I saved more for what can happen in this country. I could never, ever have dreamed of such a life in such a young age, being who I am back home in France. So right there, the American dream does exist. It was real for me, an immigrant from Africa. So, but Jordan, with all of that success, one day I lost it. One day I was driving down Big Sur, one of the most beautiful road, if you ask me, in the world, with a
Highway 1.
Highway 1 with a Pacific.
Man, it's something, eh?
It's so beautiful. You cannot not believe in God when you're on that path. Okay, that's how beautiful it is.
Yeah, especially if you're taking hairpin corners in a convertible.
Yes, absolutely. And Jordan, it was one of those moments. That day was one of those days when the sun was, as usual, was shining. The ocean was beautiful. I was, listening to some Yusundur in my car, great Senegalese musician, and just feeling so much gratitude and also so much pride in myself for what I was able to accomplish, and so much gratitude for everyone and everything that helped me get there. And just as many times, just like it happens, every time I got to that moment of bliss, right away my mood turned. Everything became dark.
Just like that.
As it usually does. Because why? Because right at that moment, I started thinking about the people that I had left back home. And it happened oftentimes through my life, because how else do you feel when you're growing up and you hear your parents, or you read the news, you hear the news, and it's saying that a body dropped from a plane somewhere above England because someone decided to migrate right to Europe for a better life, just like my parents did, but they did it again under better conditions. And they thought it would be a good idea to hide into the landing gear. but somewhere above, London, above England, the body falls. Or they open the plane and they find in the cargo section of a plane a frozen body. Somebody thought it would be a good idea to hide in the cargo section of a plane. No one told them. It gets so cold up there. Or, this boat just tipped. This little fisherman's boat just tipped, somewhere along between the coast of Senegal and Spain, which is the first entry into Europe for these people. But the boat tipped over. It is not equipped to make this journey.
I want to play this much
And
for you guys.
in the boat, you have
give you a
babies,
little bit
you
of
have
backstory with
young people, primarily young people.
Come to what she's come to.
And these are some of our most entrepreneurial people, the people that we need to build the prosperity back home. And where are they now? Lying at the bottom of the ocean, serving as fish food. How else would you feel if for years growing up, these are the stories that you're hearing? And yet
Well, why do you think your conscience bothered you at that point? I mean, you come to the States, you become successful, you had this beautiful day, and so why all of a sudden do you suppose your thoughts turned to the people that had been left behind, so to speak? I mean, it wasn't your fault that they were in the state they were in.
I know, yeah.
This is a real one. It bothered her that she had success and everybody else behind didn't. I didn't play the beginning of this story for you guys, but she come from a really poor area. So just to give you a quick little backstory.
It wasn't my fault, for sure. It took me a long time to accept that it wasn't my fault. So what happened that day is I no longer was able to play the schizophrenia game that I've played my whole life. I was no longer able to, the coping mechanism that I had developed up till then no longer was holding. The coping mechanism that I had developed back for all of these years was, as soon as I started thinking about it, I would actually tell myself, this is not your fault. You have a life to live. It is not fair. I would tell myself all of these stories, and then I would just shrug it under the rug. Mm-hmm. Act as if it... But that day, for some bizarre reason, it just no longer worked. And I lost it. My body, the feeling was so violent that my body jerked, literally. And it's a miracle that I'm talking to you because my body jerked so much that with it, the steering wheel. And
that was God talking to her soul. And there are times that God talks to each of us that way, but we ignored it. But she didn't ignore it.
I was going to end up down below in that ocean. But for some reason, it didn't. And as soon as I found a spot to stop, I stopped. And I got out of the car. Something major had happened. I still don't explain what it was. But at that time, Jordan, I surrendered. I said, God.
She surrendered to that feeling. And so many times, God put it on our heart to do something, say something in a situation or something we need to challenge ourselves with and accomplish, but we just let it go because we're afraid that we might get exposed or we don't have enough strength and that we would have to rely on God even more.
Huron, I'm showing up, and I promise you, and I want you to help me make sure that every breath I take from here on is going to go towards the bettering of my continent.
The continent. Not just her village, little village she's from, not just a city, the continent.
Right? I just made that deal with God. I said, this is what I'm showing up for this. I present and I offer myself. This is
why did you think this was between you and God, so to speak?
Because it was so big. And it was so big, and he's the only one that I trusted to help me with that.
She said the whole continent.
And most importantly, I had no idea what to do about it. But I knew that faith would be my best ally in this until I could figure it out.
Yeah, well, faith sometimes is the courage to do difficult things.
You know what? It's a very good way to look at it, and maybe that's what happened that day. Because that day I was definitely not willing, or let I say, not capable at least, of being a coward about it anymore. Because my whole life I was pretty cowardish about it. If you think about it.
Why cowardly? Why would you say that about yourself?
I don't know. It's just because. The idea that in order
She knew that God had given her the strength to not necessarily solve it, but to do her part. And again, we know it's going to take a lot out of us, and we just don't want to commit to it. So we're like snowflakes, and God's given this much to this person, that much to this person, and so on and so forth. And it's in all of us to do different strengths at different levels. And she knew it was in her enough to make some kind of mark. And that's what she's talking about.
to no longer feel the pain, I would have to push it under the rug. I don't find that very courageous. But I didn't know what else to do, because otherwise the pain was just going to drag me into places. But at least I had the sanity to know we're not safe or healthy for me until I knew how to get into those dark spaces, right? Which, by the way, I learned afterwards, because afterwards I used knowledge to my rescue. The understanding really helped settle everything.
Yeah, well, it is a terrible thing. It is a terrible thing to look on the poverty and the corruption, let's say, of an entire continent and in some sense the entire world, and to contrast that with your own prosperity, and then to realize, at least in principle, that you have a moral duty to do something about it.
That's exactly.
That's no trivial undertaking.
That's exactly.
So, okay,
talk about that word a lot
so
on
you're
this
on
channel.
the side of the road and you've pulled over and you've had this realization. So continue.
Yeah, so I pulled on the side of the road. I had this realization, and eventually I said, from here on, this is the path I'm taking, and I want you to help me. So show me the way. I will be a good disciple. And so, and things started to change. And it started to change with a few months later. My husband, who was French, and I talk about him in the past tense because poor soul, he passed away.
I could have started in this part of the story because this is where it really starts to take off. It matters. But I wanted to hear you guys get a little bit of her backstory. But from this point on, right here, is what we're getting to about what a boss really means.
Shortly after, after all of this, like we had maybe a year together. I didn't know that then. But I took him home to Senegal to see the place I came from. And there he was asking me about this hibiscus beverage I've been telling him about forever. You know how it is when you're not from the same culture, that the first thing you teach one another is what you love about your respective cultures. And that's how a better culture is born out of that mixing. In any case, we're there and he's like, I want to try the hibiscus you're talking about. So, everywhere we go, at the restaurant or within my friend and family homes, you go there and they bring you to this plate: Coke, Fanta, Pepsi. I'm like, where is the hibiscus? Girl, where have you been? So basically what has happened, anybody who feels like is a somebody drinks the Western soda pop brands, the ones I just talked about. And the bottom of the pyramid, which is the bulk of the people, they drink knockout brands, knockout brands. And in between, the traditional indigenous drink that we used to have is squeezed out. And with them, the livelihood of the women, who are primarily the ones who used to grow the raw material, which is the hibiscus. So now these women are leaving the countryside, going and packing themselves in the cities, and they're, begging on streets, prostitution, maybe working in people's homes where they're being treated horribly. So anyway, this cycle of poverty is just keeping going. And there, I thought I was done with being depressed sometimes about the situation back home. I fell in a literal depression. For 3 days, my body was not willing to obey me anymore. It was just like, I'm done. I was so disappointed with the world because now here I am. Not only do I have my people now dying, but now I also have my culture dying. Because my hibiscus drink, which is called bisap, it's the juice of teranga. Teranga means hospitality. That is what the people of Senegal are known for. So this is a part of our cultural identity. Yet it is not on that plate that they brought me. So when I think of a plate, I think of a world stage. And when I think of the drinks on it, I think of the cultures of the world that matter so much that they're on that plate. Well, what am I seeing? I'm not there. And that's a big problem. Because if you're not there, it means your culture is disappearing. And if your culture disappears, the only time people might remember me in the future is going to be in museums.
Why do you use the metaphor of the table?
This is the part I want y'all to hear. This gets so deep from right here. And just to show you how intuitive Jordan Peterson is, because she never said that. I rewind this 5 or 6 times. She never said the word table. But he put it together in his mind that that's what she meant, because she kept saying plate. And watch how this comes together.
You know what? I never thought about it. I don't know. It's just something that came to my mind when I saw that. It was just like I saw that plate, I saw the drinks on it, and it was just our world was right there. The plate was
Yeah,
a
well,
world.
it's a divine symbol, right? That's an ancient divine symbol.
Divine symbol. A divine. The table is a. Hold that in your mind. The table is a divine symbol for everyone.
Sense that the collective table, the table of the gods, to have a seat at the table is to be part of the conversation and to be part of the elect in some real sense, you know, to be welcomed in with hospitality and to share and to distribute and to mutually enjoy. It's a very, very old idea. So it's very striking to me that was the metaphor that sprung to mind, because we want everyone to come to the table, don't we?
We want everyone to come to the table, not just my immediate family, not just my immediate friends, not even just my immediate community. African American people, we have got to be together on this thing. We are never going to go the next step until everybody at the table on it.
We do, and that's the plan. Absolutely, that's a very good point. I never made the connection, but now that you're bringing it up, it makes it does make perfect sense. Actually, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm gonna stop right there. So, at the beginning of this, I told you that I think one of the best lines in rap by any rapper was said by Rick Ross, and there's an album that he did with a song called Triple Platinum. And I just froze the lyrics here. Hope you guys can see this. You're not a boss to everybody at the table tonight. Not a boss to everybody at the table tonight. Hopefully y'all can see that. I want that to burn in your brain. All these people running around talking about I'm a boss, I'm a boss, I'm a boss B. No, you're not. No, you're not. Even if you have red bottoms, you have the Balenciaga, you've got a really nice car or dope house, you're good. Other cultures do not respond that way until everybody good. That's what a true boss is. Now, if you're satisfied with you being good in your immediate family, okay. You stop right there. You don't get to call yourself a boss, though. Real bosses go outside of themselves in their immediate family. Okay? I was talking to my partner in crime, Deangelo, Gowdy, and DJ DJ Deangelo. He's so many things in life. He does so many things. We had a conversation about this, what a boss is. And he brought up LeBron. And I would consider LeBron a boss because not only is he good, he is searching and doing everything in his power to extend his wherewithal in other areas, as many places he can, along with his buddies from his community that he employed to reach out to more than just his immediate family and community. So I don't want to just beat you up with this, guys, but we do need to come together collectively, and then we can rejoice in saying, "I'm a boss." So if we're really truly going to go that route to say that, then we got to do the work. There's a lot of work that goes into being a boss. You don't just make a good amount of money and then just call it a day. It's more to it than that. You just begun once you get the money. Now you got to start putting in time and effort. Those are two things that people don't want to pay. People don't have a problem with paying for some money to shell out some money. That's not a problem. Anybody could do that. But to put the time and the effort into connecting the dots with that money, making sure it goes to where it needs to go to, find out, who exactly really needs it. Once you find out who needs it, how to really facilitate that. I am really captivated by two topics on the sun: kids and the homeless. And the misfortunate that are leaving us with suicide too. That really pulls at my heartstrings. I'm gonna be doing videos on those. And I've already got a video in mind that I'm gonna do with the homeless situation and just how we're not bosses until we take care of the situation. Again, I feel one of the solutions is Model 6 Plus. And once again, what Model 6 is, you have a mother, you have a father. Your mother has a mother and father. Your father has a mother and father. That's 6 human beings born to you before you're ever even born. I'm going to keep saying that over and over again because it's just another word for family is all Model 6 is. And then the plus is simply you have brothers and sisters, aunties, uncles, nieces, nephews. The divine higher power put all this support around you because he knew you were going to need it. And he knew that if he put people in your immediate family, make you family, in your immediate space, that everybody should be good at that point. But we're not good because we're not bosses. It's every man for himself, and we got to stop that. Because at the end of the day, we've got to make this place a better world for the kids. They deserve to have a decent place to live on this planet. The only way to fix a lot of this nonsense, and the homeless situation is so far out of control right now. I said this in the last video. Money can't just fix it. It can't. It's going to take a lot of time and effort. It's going to take a lot of time and effort to put a dent in it. If we start utilizing Model 6 Plus, family, community, we can heal that if we start making it our business for that individual that's on the streets, that's from that family. That one's from that family. Okay, you people get your people. Everybody get their people. And it shouldn't be done individually, collectively, as a family. If it's going to take getting a bunch of nieces and a bunch of uncles, aunties, whoever is, well-to-do can help financially, but the other individuals put their mind power. Other people from the family put their mind power together and converge and do an intervention with this person from their family. For all those homeless people, they have family. They had a Model 6 too. But we got lost. We got to go back to that because that's the only way to fix it. Because money can't fix it. Government can't fix it because it's gotten so far. I mean, there's not enough mental health facilities to facilitate all of what's going wrong. So how do you fix it? You got to fix it with the blueprint that nature gave us. All right? So before we start calling ourselves a boss, we got to take a look at that and make this a better place. Thank you.